At my daughter's school pickup, the principal grabbed my arm and said, "Thank God you're here." She was shaking. My daughter is 6. The school pickup line is the most mundane routine in my life. I park, I wait. A teacher walks my daughter to the car. She climbs in. She tells me about recess. We go home. It takes 11 minutes. Today, it took 3 hours. Principal Donahue was at the curb when I pulled in, not at the main entrance where she usually watches dismissal. She saw my car. She walked to the driver's side. She opened my door. She grabbed my arm. She said, "Your daughter is fine. She is safe, but I need you inside right now." She brought me to the conference room. Sitting at the table were a woman in a blazer and a man with a lanyard that said, "Department of Children and Family Services. DCFS, in my daughter's school, waiting for me. Principal Donahue said, "This morning, Lucia's teacher, Mrs. Kim, asked the class to draw a picture of their family doing something fun. Lucia drew a picture I need to show you. Crayons, big heads, stick bodies, smiles on everything, including the sun. 4 figures, me, Lucia, a woman, and a man I did not recognize. The woman had brown hair. She was holding Lucia's hand. The man was standing behind the woman. He had something in his hand. It looked like a belt. Lucia had colored the area around the man in red, not as a background, as a feature. The red was around him specifically. Below the drawing, in Lucia's handwriting, "This is when we visit mommy," and the man gets angry. Sandra Vega from DCFS said, "The content of Lucia's drawing triggered a mandatory reporting protocol. The drawing and the sentence suggest that Lucia may be witnessing violent behavior during visits with her mother. My ex-wife Marisol and I have been divorced for 2 years. Lucia lives with me. She visits Marisol every other weekend. Marisol's boyfriend is a man named Ray. I have met Ray once. He shook my hand. He said, 'I care about Lucia.' I believed him because caring about Lucia is easy, and saying you do is even easier, and handshakes are not background checks." They interviewed Lucia in a small room with soft chairs and a woman named Carmen who spoke to my daughter the way you speak to a small animal you do not want to startle. Carmen said, "You drew red around Ray. Can you tell me about the red?" Lucia looked at her hands. She said, "The red is when he's loud." Carmen said, "What happens when he's loud?" Lucia said, "He yells at mommy. Mommy cries. Then he throws things. Last time he threw a plate and it broke and a piece hit mommy's arm and she was bleeding and she told me to go to my room and I went to my room and I put my pillow over my ears but I could still hear." She said it in one breath, the way children describe things they have been holding, in a rush, without pausing, because the pausing is where the feelings live and the feelings are too large for the pause to contain. Carmen said, "Has Ray ever been loud at you?" Lucia said, "He doesn't yell at me. He yells at mommy, but when he yells, his face gets red like the crayon, and I drew it red because that's what he looks like when he's going to throw something." The red was not a background, it was a warning color. My 6-year-old assigned a color to a man's rage and used it as a visual alert system in a crayon drawing because that is the only language she has for the things she witnesses every other weekend. I watched my daughter describe sounds she should not know and a coping strategy involving a pillow and her ears that she invented alone in a bedroom because nobody taught her what to do when the man in the next room throws plates at her mother, and the only tool she has is a 6-year-old's logic that says if I cover my ears, the noise is less real. I called my attorney Nina before I left the building. I said, "I'm filing for emergency modification of custody. My daughter is not going back to that house." She said, "The DCFS interview will support the filing. The drawing will be entered as evidence." I said, "A crayon drawing is evidence?" She said, "In family court, a child's drawing is one of the most powerful pieces of evidence a judge can see because a 6-year-old doesn't draw what they imagine. They draw what they remember." But there is one thing Lucia said at the end of the interview. Carmen asked, "Is there anything else you want to tell me?" Lucia said, "I draw the picture every time." Carmen said, "Every time?" Lucia said, "At mommy's house. After he yells, I draw the picture. I put it under my mattress. There are a lot of them." Under Lucia's mattress at her mother's house is a stack of drawings. Red crayon around a man, a mother holding her arm, a girl in a bedroom with a pillow over her ears. Not one drawing, a series, a 6-year-old's incident log, filed under a mattress. Because no one taught her to call for help, so she documented what she saw the only way she knew how. Nina said, "The drawings under the mattress are the real evidence. The one from school is a starting point. A stack showing a pattern is what changes a judge's mind. We need those drawings before anyone else gets to them." She said the earliest she could get a court order for evidence collection was the hearing date, 4 days, and I knew what would happen. Marisol would get the DCFS notification. She would learn about the drawing. She would go into Lucia's bedroom. She would lift the mattress, and she would get rid of them. That night, Lucia fell asleep on the couch, one sock on and one sock off the way she always sleeps. I carried her to bed. I was tucking the blanket around her shoulders when she half opened her eyes. She said, "Daddy, don't tell mommy about the pictures. She'll be sad." I told her she did not need to worry. She blinked, already drifting back. Then she said, "I hid them really good, under the mattress and under the board thing that's loose." And then she was asleep, under the board thing that's loose. Not just under the mattress, under a loose floorboard beneath the bed. My daughter did not just draw what she saw, she hid what she drew. She found a spot a grown adult would not think to check. I felt proud of her in a way that also made me sick, because a kid should not need to be that smart about hiding things. And I felt hope, because maybe if Marisol went looking, she would check under the mattress and find nothing and think there was nothing to find. Maybe the loose board would stay secret. The next morning, Marisol called. Her voice was tight. "I just got a call from DCFS. They said Lucia drew a picture. What did you do?" I said the school reported it. The school is required to report it. I did not make the drawing. The teacher asked the class to draw their family, and Lucia drew what she drew. She said she's 6. She draws monsters and unicorns. "You're going to let a crayon drawing blow up our custody agreement?" Not concerned for Lucia, concerned for the agreement. I said, "She drew Ray throwing a plate at you." She described the sound of it breaking. She told them about the blood on your arm. Silence. Then Marisol said, "That never happened." Lucia has a big imagination. She hung up. Did not ask how Lucia was doing. Did not ask what Lucia said in the interview. She asked what I did. She said it never happened, and she hung up. I thought about every weekend I drove Lucia to that house. Every time I watched her grab her little backpack and walk to the front door. Every time Marisol opened the door and smiled and waved and I waved back and drove away. The whole time my daughter was drawing pictures pictures and hiding them under a floorboard because nobody was listening and she did not know how to say it out loud, so she said it the only way she could. 2 days before the hearing, my friend Jedediah came over without calling. He sat across from me and helped organize Nina's paperwork. He said, "You're doing the right thing. Ray already blew up Lucia's world. You're just picking up the pieces." I told him it was not the filing that kept me up. It was every weekend I drove away. Jedediah said, "You didn't know. Now you know. That's the difference." That evening, Marisol showed up at my door, eyes red, makeup streaked. She said, "Please, can we just talk? No lawyers, no DCFS." I should have said no. Nina told me not to let her in, but she is still Lucia's mother. I let her in. She sat at the table. She said, "Ray isn't a bad person. He has a temper, but he's getting counseling. He promised." I said, "Lucia described him throwing a plate at you. She said you were bleeding." She hides in her room and covers her ears. Marisol's face crumbled. She said, "It was one time, one bad night. He'd been drinking." On the phone 2 days ago, she said, "That never happened." Now it was one time. The denial gets smaller as the truth gets closer. I said, "She drew it more than once. She's been drawing what she sees every time she comes to your house." Something changed in her eyes. She went still. She said, "What do you mean, more than once?" And I felt the mistake land in my stomach. Marisol did not know about the stack of drawings. She knew about the one from school. One picture she could explain away as a big imagination. She did not know there were more. She did not know about the mattress. She did not know about the loose board. And I just told her. I watched her process it. She wiped her eyes. She stood up. She said, "I'm going to fix this. Please don't take my daughter away from me." She left. Did not ask where the drawings were. Did not need to. I had given her enough. I called Nina. I said, "I told Marisol about the other drawings. She didn't know. Now she does." Nina said, "Then we have to assume she's going to look for them. And we have to assume she's going to try to get rid of them." The only thing standing between my daughter's truth and a clean mattress was a 6-year-old's secret hiding spot and the hope that a grown woman would not think to check where a child would hide the things that mattered most to her. Nina filed an emergency motion to move the hearing up. The judge denied it. Docket full. She got DCFS to conduct a welfare check. Sandra could go to the house. She could look around, but she could not lift mattresses or pull up floorboards without a court order. The next day, Sandra called. She said, "Ray answered the door. He was cooperative. The house was clean. No visible signs of disturbance." She said, "The bedroom was tidy. The bed was made. We noted that the mattress appeared to have been recently moved. The bed frame had fresh scuff marks on the floor that didn't match the mattress position, but we were not authorized to search. Someone moved the mattress. Someone went into my daughter's room and lifted the mattress and looked underneath it. The drawings were not just under the mattress. They were under the board thing that's loose. A spot she found by herself, probably one day when she was sitting on the floor with her pillow over her ears, and she noticed a board that wiggled and she pulled it up and found a space. A grown man lifts a mattress and finds nothing and thinks he checked. He does not get on his hands and knees and press every board. He does not think like a 6-year-old. Then Ray called me, friendly, almost warm. He said, "I'd never hurt Lucia. I love that kid. Marisol and I argue sometimes. Every couple does. I'm getting help." I said, "Did you move the mattress in Lucia's room?" Dead silence. The kind where you can hear someone's entire strategy fall apart. He said, "I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "Then I'll see you at the hearing." The silence before the denial told me more than the denial ever could. Nina said, "The mattress was moved. That's documented. It shows consciousness of guilt. Someone knew there was something to find." She said, "If they found the drawings and destroyed them, we rely on Lucia's testimony, the interview, and the school drawing. It's still powerful. But those drawings are the difference between a modification and a termination of unsupervised visitation. A modification means visits change. A termination means they stop. No more every other weekend. No more Ray, no more plates, no more pillow." Those drawings were the line between those two outcomes. The hearing was at 9. Family courtroom, small room, just tables and chairs and fluorescent lights that buzz in places where people's lives get decided. I sat with Nina. Across the room, Marisol sat with her attorney. Ray was not there. Nina presented the DCFS report, the forensic interview transcript, and the school drawing. The judge held the drawing up. She studied it for a long time. The stick figures, the red, the sentence in a 6-year-old's handwriting. Sandra summarized the interview, the yelling, the plate, the blood on Marisol's arm, the room, the pillow, the red crayon and what it meant. Marisol's attorney said the drawing was a child's interpretation. He said Lucia was never harmed directly. He said Ray and Marisol had normal disagreements. He said I was weaponizing a crayon drawing. Then Nina stood. She said, "During the welfare check, the investigator noted the mattress in Lucia's bedroom had been recently moved. The child told the forensic interviewer she had drawn multiple pictures and hidden them. We are requesting the court order a full evidence collection." Marisol's attorney called it a fishing expedition. The judge overruled the objection. She ordered the collection. She called a 2-hour recess. 2 hours of sitting on a wooden bench thinking about a loose board under a bed and my daughter's small hands sliding a drawing inside. Then Sandra came back carrying a manila folder. She went straight into the courtroom. She placed it on the judge's bench. Inside were 11 crayon drawings. 11. Hidden not under the mattress but under the loose baseboard beneath the bed. The spot Lucia told me about in her sleep. Whoever moved the mattress did not find them. They were still there. Every single one. The judge spread them across her desk. Each one showed the same figures. A small girl, a woman, a large man surrounded in red. In some, the man's arms were raised. In some, the woman was on the floor. In one, the girl was in a separate room with lines labeled pillow. In another, broken lines on the floor that looked like pieces of a plate. At the bottom of each drawing, in crayon, Lucia had written a date, just the month and a number, but the pattern was clear. Every other weekend, for months. The judge said, "Your daughter has been documenting what she sees in your home since at least 7 months ago. These drawings are consistent with the forensic interview. They describe a pattern of witnessed domestic violence." She said, "I am granting the emergency modification. Effective immediately, all unsupervised visitation is suspended. Visitation will be supervised through a court-approved facility. A full investigation into the home environment will be conducted by DCFS." She said, "Mr. Ortega, your daughter will remain in your primary custody." Marisol stood. As she passed my table, she whispered, not to me, into the air, "I was going to leave him. I was going to. I do not know if it was true. What I know is that my daughter drew the truth truth 11 times in crayon and hid it under a floorboard and waited, without knowing she was waiting, for someone to finally ask the right question. I picked Lucia up from school that afternoon. Normal pickup, normal line. She climbed in and started telling me about recess before her seatbelt was clicked. She asked if she could have goldfish crackers when we got home. I said yes. She was quiet for a second. Then she said, "Daddy, did somebody find my pictures?" I said, "Yeah, baby, somebody found them." She nodded. She looked at her hands. Then she said, "Good, I was running out of room under the board." She went right back to talking about tag and who was the fastest runner. The drive home took 11 minutes. The house was quiet when we walked in. Not the kind of quiet that needs a pillow, just quiet.